Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Pitt County and the rest of the world. You are listening to Pitt Perspectives right here on Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. Hey, as always, I'm your host, Victor, joined by my awesome, should I say awesome? My half amazing, half annoying co hosts, AY and Patrick. Hey, fellas, how are you all feeling this morning?
Good morning. I'm feeling good this morning, as
Yeah,
you
I
can
can
all
see,
see.
man. I can hear. Oh.
Yeah, I can.
It's exam season here
Yeah,
at
man.
ECU, and so we're sending our love and strength, and of course, all the goodwill, good energy to all the students who are preparing for their exams. Patrick,
Yeah.
and
Good
everyone
morning, good
preparing for
morning, good
exams.
morning. It's amazing outside. It's an amazing Saturday morning. The sun is out.
Yeah,
The weather
beautiful
looks
day.
great. It's amazing to be in studio with my co-hosts once again.
Yeah,
Hey,
y'all
it's
missed me last week, right?
uh,
Nah.
yeah, that's right. A big shout out to the class of 2025. Our commencement is next Friday, and you've earned every bit of that walk across the
Yeah,
Yeah,
stage.
Patrick, are
man.
you graduating this?
Nah,
No, no,
not
no.
yet.
When are
May
you ever going
27.
to?
May
Oh,
27.
wow.
Yeah, he
Ah,
still got some
that's
time.
like
I mean, it's amazing. I just saw on Facebook, I got this reminder of like it's been 1 year, the memories. And
yeah,
it turns out it's I think May 3rd. The commencement for
for
last year
last year.
was
Wow,
May 3rd. I mean, time flies, man.
wow.
Yeah.
Look at us, man. Yeah, so class of 2025, from all of us at Pitt Perspectives, we are proud of you.
Yeah.
And then to everyone else, remember you can join the conversation at any time this morning. Our studio lines are still the same: two five two seven five
252
six 2008. Yes, that's 252 756 2008. But before anything else, we will take the news roundup. AY, let's go.
Yes. So the first news I have here says ECU looks to strengthen its reputation and recruitment strategy.
Yes, facing mounting pressures from shrinking college age populations and growing skepticism about the value of higher education, ECU has enlisted top marketing firm Simpson Scarborough to help sharpen its branding and recruitment strategy. At a recent Board of Trustees meeting, CEO Jason Simon, himself an ECU legacy and DH Conley graduate, called this a critical time for higher education and urged bold storytelling around ECU's strengths. Simon noted that concerns about college costs and relevance are widespread, with 93% of students expressing financial anxiety. ECU plans ECU's plan includes highlighting workforce readiness, adult learning options, and graduate programs to reach beyond the traditional 18-year-old audience. The university has already seen gains. First year retention is climbing, applications have topped 30%, and new Chancellor Scholar Awards aim to attract strong applicants who may not qualify for the Honors College. ECU also continues to rack up national recognition. The university recently celebrated several milestones, including achieving R1 status for research universities, winning a second C. Peter McGrath Community Engagement Award, earning the Carnegie Leadership for Public Purpose classification, and extending its innovation and economic prosperity designation. Chancellor Philip Rogers declared, "We are the only university in the country that has achieved all of those things. It's something to be proud of." Hey, one time
Yeah.
for ECU.
Yeah.
Yeah. Popo.
Go.
Popo. Let's go, Pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Great
Good,
stuff.
great
Great stuff.
times, great
Yeah.
times, great times.
All right. The next news says Farmville schools receive long-awaited safety upgrades.
Yes, after a 2 year grassroots effort led by parents, HB SOG and Sam D. Bundy elementary schools are set to receive new deadbolt locks thanks to a $30,000 state grant.
Wow.
The Pitt County Board of Education is expected to finalize the approval next week. Additional safety improvements are also in progress at Northwest and South Greenville elementary schools, including intercom system repairs and secure window installations. We'll continue the news just after we get back from the
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
Don't touch
Yeah.
the dial.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're listening to Awesome Radio, WECU 107.5 FM, 1570 AM. Christian media with the spirit of excellence.
Hi, my name is Camille Nicholson, and I have a dream.
Yeah.
Back.
Yes, welcome back. Just before we went on that break, we were giving you all a rundown of all the incredible community news from around Pitt County and the surrounding areas this past week. Let's go ahead,
Yes,
AY.
and the next news I have here is sports and something very exciting. Greenville United grabs narrow win against Mint Hill FC.
GU.
FC.
GU.
FC.
Let's go, Bucks.
Yes.
Yes, Greenville United FC secured a gritty 1-0 win over Mint Hill FC in an intense home match. After missing a penalty in the first half, the breakthrough came in the middle of the second half with a goal from Mari Duran. Mani Duran is from Cayman Islands, Georgetown in Cayman Islands. The goal was assisted by Greenville native Anders Stokes. The victory sets the stage for their next game today against Johnston County FC with kickoff at 5:30 p.m. at JP2 Catholic High School. And tonight is also ECU night.
Yeah.
Students and staff are encouraged to come out and support the team. GUFC. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That's
Let's
great,
go.
great news.
Yes.
For, Greenville
Man, that game
United.
was
It was
something
intense.
else too, you know.
I think the visiting team were also
Yeah,
very
and
strong.
we missed the
especially
PK. I
defensively.
mean, bro, that PK, bro, I was heartbroken because everybody was ready, and I think one of the reasons why a lot of people, think soccer football is not a low, like not a high scoring game. It's because of things like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, we know there's so much more to football than just the score line. There's the tactics and all those things. But I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, it's the score line that counts.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love how the goals changes the mood. I had a couple of friends who were coming to the game for the first time, and I was just hoping, please, let's score. Let's score. Bro, like the mood changes. And I
Yeah.
think even the folks at the concessions or whatever things, the folks selling, I think it affects the mood.
Yes,
I'd
yes.
like to
I actually
assume-
noticed that too last week because the first game we were leading like I think 2 or 3
Okay.
goals first
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
At the end of the first half, there were more people going towards that
to buy
place
stuff, right? That's
But
amazing.
this last week, there were not so many people going there to buy
Yeah, because the
we're-
mood
it was
is.
like, it
Yeah,
was
I see
nil-nil,
what you
so,
mean.
yeah.
Hey, let's
get
go
it.
ahead with the news, brother.
Alrighty. The next news is ECU Health expands advanced heart valve treatment.
Yes, in a major boost for cardiac care in Eastern North Carolina, ECU Health Medical Center has introduced 2 cutting-edge procedures, TriClip G4 and Evoke valve replacements for patients with tricuspid valve regurgitation. These minimally invasive treatments offer hope for patients who previously had no surgical options. Local health specialists say the technology is significantly improving patient outcomes and quality of life without needing open heart surgery.
Dr. Patrick, what do you think?
I think it's a great. It's for the future.
Patrick the doctor.
Veterinary doctor.
No.
No, I'm kidding, man. I mean, he no longer wants to do the whole doctor gig though. He's in
Biomedical
biomedical engineering.
Oh,
so he's
wow,
now
that's-
like
that's
an engineer, not a doctor.
Patrick. Check it out for Patrick.
Yes. It's hey, it was.
Ewa is
Ewa
a
is my
fan.
favorite.
What
All
do you
right.
expect?
Okay, next news I have here says state lawmakers discuss school funding, calendars, and teacher shortages.
Yes, during a legislative launch meeting, Pitt County school leaders met with local lawmakers to address critical issues. Declining state funding, outdated compensation structures, and calendar restrictions. Superintendent Steve Lassiter emphasized the strain on resources and personnel, noting that local dollars are now covering many roles once funded by the states. Principals and support staff are particularly affected. Legislators expressed interest in changes to the school calendar law and lifting restrictions on retired teachers returning to classrooms.
Yeah, and moving on into the next news, Gathering Voices Project launches listening tour across Pitt County.
Yes, Pitt County's Human Relations Commission, in partnership with ECU Libraries, has launched the Gathering Voices project to document community stories and amplify diverse perspectives. Supported by a $10,000 state grant, the project kicked off with the first in a series of listening sessions scheduled for May and June. Residents are invited to share their experiences to help shape future curricula and foster inclusion across the region.
Yeah, and next we have Wildwood Park set to open new outdoor recreation space with festival.
Yes, so the Greenville's Wildwood Park is set to celebrate its latest outdoor expansion today, Saturday, May the 3rd, with a ribbon cutting ceremony and the BBQ Brews and Beach Beats Festival. I like the sound of that. The BBQ Brews and Beach Beats Festival. The $1 million expansion includes a BMX track, a new restroom, trails, ADA parking, and a playground. Live music will feature the Castaways and chairman of the board, with food trucks and a beer garden rounding out the festivities. So if you're around town today and you're looking for something fun and exciting and family friendly to do, Wildwood Park is opening their new outdoor recreation space today, and there will be, some music and food trucks and, everything in between. Yes, let's go, Patrick.
Yeah, and then we have Bethel to host Free Community Day this weekend.
Yes, Pitt County Cultural Arts and Recreation is inviting the public to Bethel Community Day at Bethel Elementary School today. The event will include games, face painting, arts activities, and community engagement opportunities for families. The event is free and open to all residents at Bethel Elementary School today.
Yeah, and then we have sports news again. High school sports highlights: Falcons, Rampants, Chargers win big this weekend.
Yes, South Central softball closed out the regular season on a 9-game winning streak, dominating Swansboro 15-4. Meanwhile, JH Rose crushed Hunt 21-0 with a powerful third inning rally. On the baseball side, Aiden Grifton topped Washington 15-2 with Camden Wilson and Jack Ewell each driving in 3 runs. Playoff season is just around the corner, and local teams are looking strong. So let us know which stories you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll also have the community news recap on our social media,
Yeah, sure.
after the show. Yes.
Let's get into it, man.
Yes, let's get into the exciting part. So, this week on Pete's Perspectives, we're talking about bridging the gap,
Yes.
generations in conversations. So, the big question is, what do you wish younger generations knew? And what do you wish the older generations realized? So, there are 2 parts to this. So, for the older folks, what do you think or what do you wish younger generations knew? And then for the younger people like Patrick,
So I think this
What do
setup
you
is very
wish
accurate.
older-
The older people,
who are the
Victor,
older people?
and the younger people.
Come on, man, I'm not that old. What's up?
So I'm the moderator. So let's so older people, please tell us.
Ah, man.
But yeah, I mean that's a very deep question to ask.
Yeah.
I've heard some elders even say things like young people these days don't want to listen.
I mean, case in point, Patrick. But yeah.
And then you hear the other side from the younger folks saying things like the older generations don't understand our world and
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's very true, and there's truth on both sides. I want
Yeah,
not to lie,
very
there's
true.
truth on both sides, right? We often miss how much wisdom and innovation can come from a conversation between the two age groups. Like a conversation between them and not that a conversation that not just one talking at the other, but a conversation between them, like having a conversation
Yeah.
one on one.
I see what you mean. I see what you both mean, but I think also, in addition to what you said, it's not about who is right.
Yeah.
I think it's about connection. So, for instance, what if older folks understood that Gen Z isn't lazy? Patrick,
Yes.
aren't you lazy?
No. The,
Hey guys, we'll get back to it just when we get back from the break. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be
don't
back.
touch that dial.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Killer Thigpen's mother from Awesome Radio.
The gusto and grit of grandparenting. For Grandkids Matter, here's Ken Canfield.
On Thanksgiving, there are probably few surprises. Seating arrangement, menus, activities, who cooks, serves, and cleans, that may already have been set in stone. Here's an idea for you. Start a new tradition and get your kids and grandkids in on the act. Brainstorm with them for some ideas. Here are a few to start with. Organize a morning football game. After dinner, the men and kids help with dishes or handle them completely. Before or after dinner, the whole family goes for a walk. Over dessert, plan a Christmas outreach project for your entire family. From the oldest family member to the youngest, talk about each person's earliest Thanksgiving memory. For more tips and encouragement for grandparents, check out grandkidsmatter.org.
Yes, welcome back to Awesome Radio.
Yeah.
Yes, we are still live here on Pitt Perspectives on Awesome Radio Network. And today we're talking about the big conversation, bridging the gap, generations in conversations. And we are talking about, the older and the younger generation. So, as older folks, what do you wish younger generations knew? It could be about life. It could be about dating. It could be about marriage. It could be about relationships. It could be about work. And then for the younger generation, what do you wish older generations realized? And we're still here on Awesome Radio. You can call us in. We want to hear from you. Our studio lines are open. It's still 252-756-2008. And you can also reach us on social media. It's Pitt Perspectives on all social media. And if you want to email us, you can go ahead and email us at hello.pitperspectives@gmail.com. And just before we went on that break, I was talking about how it's not always about who is right, between both generation, and it's about connection and how, for instance, what if older folks understood that Gen Z isn't lazy? But I know a couple of Gen Zs that are lazy, but they are navigating mental health, climate anxiety, and a gig economy. What if young people knew that many elders fought battles so they could have choices today? What do you guys think, gentlemen?
Yes, I mean, this is a very, very insightful conversation to have. Most times seems like there is a huge gap between the older generation and the younger generation in terms of understanding how they think. I mean their thought process and how they do their things. For example, you were talking about the whole maybe Gen Z is lazy thing and all. And I'm not, of course, there might be some people who are lazy. I feel like every generation will have lazy people, and every generation will have hardworking people also. I just think that sometimes it's the way we perceive them or the way we view what they do that makes the difference. There is this and you mentioned something earlier about bringing both sides of the divide together. There is this adage in my language that talks about how the fact that I don't know if I should say it in my language.
Say it in your
so
language. Yes.
if you understand Yoruba, you know what I'm trying to
I
say.
don't,
It says,
but go ahead.
it says "Ọmọdé àgbà la fi dá-
Ọmọdégbọ́n,
gbọ́n,
àgbàgbọ́n.
àgbà gbọ́n,
Okay.
la fi dá Ilé Ifẹ̀." So Ilé Ifẹ̀ is a city in Nigeria considered to be the origin of Yoruba people.
Okay.
And the idea of the adage is that it is the wisdom of both the young
Right.
and the old that give birth to that place, that created that place. So
Right.
it's not one-sided.
Right.
Everybody brings to the table,
Right.
and then that combination create something great,
Mhm.
right? So it's always, collaboration. If you go in some spaces, they will tell you that they like to have Gen Zs on their team because they are very forward thinking. They understand the way the world works today, and if you don't resonate on that level, you might be left behind because
Okay.
everything. I mean, the world is moving constantly.
Right.
Things are changing, right? So
Right.
you have to always be in that flow. And if you don't have people that have that perspective on your team, you might be thinking in the 1970s. Why
Okay.
this is
So it's
2025.
interesting,
right?
saying that how, we have this probably every culture, I suppose, in Nigeria or or Africa has this adage where like what the elder sees sitting down, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think what the elders see sitting down, like if you climb a tree, you
tree,
probably
yeah.
wouldn't see it. So it
Yeah.
talks about like the wisdom that comes from
Yeah.
experience. And I think something else we also mentioned was, which I was hoping you will get to, is how different generations communicates.
Yes.
Yeah. So I believe, yeah,
Yeah,
different.
talking about communication, for example, there are different ways, people communicate in different generations.
Generationally, yeah.
So for example, you see younger folks, some of them, I mean, a lot of younger folk probably prefer like texts or maybe texting, and then the older folks are, they value more face to face or even phone calls. They want to
Okay.
hear your voice and things like that.
Or I think
know.
younger folks might, prefer FaceTime. I mean, FaceTiming is like such a thing right now.
Yeah, true. But then for the most part, most people on FaceTime and just looking at each other, just staring. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, texts work better than even FaceTime.
I see
Texts
what you
are
mean,
more.
but I think even with the text too, sometimes it's not always easy to convey emotions over text.
I mean, it depends who's talking and
Yeah,
who's
well,
having the conversation.
Yes.
I think it's also contextual. Like there are certain times when texts work better, and then there are certain other times when obviously like
Well,
you
I
have
for
to
one,
call.
I would say personally, I prefer text, for example,
Yes.
and because
Yes.
personally, I personally believe that
Yes.
calls are very distracting.
Uh-huh.
Really,
I mean, it depends on.
It
That's
is-
exactly what I'm
is-
saying. It
is,
depends on the context.
even yeah, I mean, yes, like you said, the context matters, and more often than not, I would rather you text me than call me because there's a way those calls can disrupt what you're doing. Like there's a flow, you're working right,
Okay.
and then the call comes in, it takes you away from that work for a bit, and then before you know it, getting back to the flow you were on.
So what if it's a work call then?
That's why a lot of people have mails, right? A lot of work calls will probably be sent as mails in most places.
Again, it's
especially in the corporate.
contextual though.
Yeah,
I get what you mean.
I mean, it's rare for your boss to call you and say, "Hey, I need you to do not." For the most part,
Yeah.
they send you a mail and say,
Email to
"Do you understand?" And that's why that is also
What's
part
this
of it.
one saying? Have you?
Yes.
Do you have any
Yes.
experience?
Yeah, I
doing
do
any
have experience. What kind of question
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah, and these days,
Oh,
I mean, just even not just mails, there are other platforms that people now use,
Right.
for work communication, right? So
Right.
it's more that's like what is more obtainable in the
Mm-hmm.
world today than just picking up your phone and calling somebody. I feel like calls are more distracting, and it has a way of taking you off the flow of work.
Yeah.
So I just prefer to,
I mean, I get
to
that.
receive
Though.
text.
Yeah, I wanted to say something, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with AY. I mean, I feel like I'm
Why
also on
won't
the-
you?
Yes, I am also on the text side. I feel
I
like
mean,
text,
I love text. It helps you sort of think about what you want to say.
yeah,
yes.
and then you can always
figure
change
out
your
the
mind
best
too.
way
You can
to-
always change
Yeah,
your mind.
sometimes I
on-
type up a text and,
then-
leave it like for the long. Even though sometimes I forget to press
Even
the
press
send.
send, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
the other-
then
yes.
for the most part, I leave it to sort of simmer and then
Yeah,
get back to it, think about how I want to say it and all. To yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I like the fact that you can change your thought too. Like, if say you're talking, once you say something, then maybe you're like, okay, I
can-
didn't mean that.
you can take it
But
back,
over
yeah.
text, you don't have to say, I didn't mean that. You
Yeah.
can just change that.
And that's
entire-
receipts too.
Yeah.
That's evidence. That's
Yeah.
texts are
Exactly,
material
yeah.
evidence too.
So,
So.
yeah, it makes you think about what you're
Yeah.
gonna say, and also the act of putting your thoughts into words.
Yeah,
that is
it's
also
not always easy though.
yeah, but yeah. And then while I do agree with that, what about hey, values too? I'm
Right.
thinking values. Younger generations are often more socially conscious. Older folks may prioritize tradition and responsibility. We need to see these as complementary and not conflicting.
Mm.
So when you say values, I think what comes to mind, I remember, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, last week during the Spring Fling volunteer thing at Ronald McDonald House, I had this great conversation with one of like this really older man on my team, Mr. Stevenson. Shout out to Mr. Stevenson. He grew up around outside Fayetteville, and he was sharing with me, his life story about how when he grew up, hard work was a big deal, was a big value, at the time. The understanding was that if you worked hard, you can, buy a house, get married, raise kids. And also, a lot of people from that generation found a lot of joy and purpose in work, in hard work, and I think I know AY has a lot to say. We have a lot to say about the value of hard work and how it looks different across generations. But I think, all things considered, if you asked the younger generation to list out their top 3 values, I'm not sure hard work would, get into it. And then there is also this case that, innovation and technology has made us lazy. How like the calculator makes people no longer, I mean, as long as much as it makes work easier, I mean, for instance, people no longer think, use their minds, or all of those things. So it's a double-edged sword, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting way to look at it, because yes, I mean, technology makes a lot of work easier, but then again, it brings in another angle to redefine what work looks like.
Okay.
Right? I think we'll probably get into more details when we get back from this.
Yes, from the
program.
break.
So
But yeah,
we
you can still call us on 252-756
Yeah.
2008 on Awesome
Awesome
Radio.
Radio.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Hey.
Hello, my name is Daniel out of Greenville. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
From the Pacific Justice Institute, this is The Legal Edge, defending your rights as a Christian, a parent, and a citizen. Here's Brad Dacus.
In 1985, Nevada passed bipartisan laws requiring that parents be notified before a minor could obtain an abortion. These common sense protections were signed into law by a Democrat governor, yet a court wrongly blocked them from taking effect for nearly 40 years. Pacific Justice Institute has joined forces with the BOP law firm, Nevada Right to Life, and district attorneys of Carson City and Lyon County to take a stand. A federal judge has officially lifted the injunction, marking a significant victory for parents, the preborn, and the rule of law.
Learn more about our ministry and get exclusive email updates by registering for the Legal Insider at pji.org. Remember the website, pji.org.
Yes, welcome back to Awesome Radio. We are still live here on Pitt Perspectives. Hey, Pitt Perspectives is where we share stories, celebrate culture, and inspire community here in Pitt County, here in Eastern North Carolina. And today we are diving into this exciting topic around bridging the generational gap in conversation. And we are asking, as an older person, what do you wish younger generations knew? And as a younger person, what do you wish older generations realize? This could be about life, this could be about work, about relationships, and about really anything you can think about. And our phone lines are open. You can call us on 252-756-2008. And just before we went on that break, I know AY was getting ready to come at me.
Yes,
Go for
so
it.
I was talking about how work, has changed over time, and how you can look at the way people do things now and be like, oh, maybe they are lazy, or maybe hard work is not top on the list. But I would like to say that what work used to look like in, say, maybe in the say 80s or even the 90s is different from what it looks like now. You mentioned technology making things easier, and a lot of people don't think anymore. I wouldn't necessarily say say that. I think it brings a new challenge in the
So
fact
not
that,
that, so just to get it straight, not that a lot of people don't think anymore.
okay,
We are saying that, I mean, there are research to this, how it seems like technology has made us, I guess, slower. Some even would say dumber. You know, maybe not exactly, we don't think anymore. We don't put in as much work as folks would, do in the past.
okay.
I mean,
So I get what you're saying. So
Right.
let me put it this way.
okay,
Now, when technology has come,
okay,
and there is a new challenge,
Okay.
and it's the fact that, so for example, what you would have done, say maybe in the 90s, and get paid for,
okay,
today nobody's going to be willing to pay you for it because
Okay.
they can easily get it done online or even chat GPT or
Okay.
something. Now, the challenge that brings for you in this generation is that you have to now upskill. You'll have to learn something out of the ordinary, quote and unquote,
Okay.
to meet up, to be able to
Okay.
survive. The things
Right.
that people in the last generation did, that today, when you look at it, you see that your computer can easily get it done for you. They got paid for doing those things
Okay.
then. But you cannot do the same thing and someone will come and clap for you and say you've done something special, because there is now a software somewhere that
Right.
can, at the tap of a button, someone gets it done, right? So now there is now responsibility on you to improve your skill. There is a responsibility on the younger generation to constantly keep learning and evolving, keep getting better every
Right.
day. I feel like the pressure is even more now than it was. For example, in say maybe in the 80s or in the 70s, it was easier to, you go to college, everything seems done, like you are done.
It was
Everything. But
fast,
now
yeah.
today, you're done. I mean, you're done with college. There is still that pressure of, oh, the competition is higher.
Right.
There are more advanced skills. And I was saying something, we had this conversation recently, and I was talking about how somebody wakes up in the morning, say in the older generation, he gets dressed up. They say someone works in the bank, gets to the bank, he has to get on his work. And if, for example, someone even has to, get in clients and stuff like that. But today, he sees his son wakes up in the morning, he's on his system, and he's just pressing the laptop. He cannot understand why I have to wake up that early to go to work, and you are just sitting by your laptop. But this guy, for example, say he's learning how to code Python. If you've ever worked
Yeah.
coding, you know
It's
the
difficult,
amount of
yeah.
work that goes into learning how to code Python, for example. And just something just came to my mind. I remember in one of my Python classes, and the professor was telling us that the guy that invented Python was just bored and decided to create something. And I'm like, wait, it was not like he was looking for something. He was just exploring, and he came up with something
Right.
that's transformational in that
Right.
sense. And I mean, that was just the digression. Back to what I was saying, he's there on his laptop spending, say, 6-10 hours every
Right.
day trying to learn something. And you think he's just playing,
Right.
but he's putting in a lot of work to get
I
that
mean,
done.
I agree with you.
Do you
And,
get-
and
so-
I think too, like, two things can exist simultaneously.
Yes.
So on the one hand, like you said, the margins have increased. You have to bring so much more right
Much
now,
more, yes.
because I mean, information has been democratized. Like, there is no, in the past, I mean, you would have to go to the library or go find an encyclopedia to find information. But right now, everything is on the internet. So there is that. But then there is also these other aspects to it, that because of the ease, to that access to that information, people don't, I mean, it's probably the case with artificial intelligence, how a lot of people are worried, how, someone said, I think someone was talking about how, what if, say, in the future, the doctor who wants to do a procedure, use ChatGPT or an AI to pass their exams, right? Speaking to the fact that, with the proliferation of artificial intelligence, people no longer take the time to, study, the struggle with information to understand things, because now you can actually outsource that to technology. I
Yeah.
think I mean, there is something to what
Well,
you're saying.
yeah.
It's that balance, it's that also.
Yes, so what I also think is that as the world is evolving, people are, I mean, every system is adjusting.
Okay.
So, I mean, for example, the medical thing you brought up, I mean, it makes sense. And I've never been to a medical school, but I have friends who are doctors, and I know that in the medical school, it's not just about writing exams
Right.
and passing exams.
Right.
There is Viva,
Practicals, yeah.
there is practicals, there's housemanship. There's a lot of interaction going on. So you, even if you quote unquote use
ChatGPT,
computer to
yeah,
pass your
it's not-
exams,
yeah.
at some point
You have
they
to
will
do
know that
practical,
it's a
So,
fluke, right?
I see
Because
what you mean.
there's a lot of system in place to
Right,
make sure that
right.
what is coming out on the other side is well structured, and the product that is the
Right.
students.
So
the
what I
doctor
hear from
is-
what you're
is
saying,
top-notch.
what I hear from what you're saying, beyond just the medical example, is that what the times call for is also an evolution in the way
Yeah, the
knowledge
systems,
is
yeah.
transferred, as far as creating those systems that helps kids, to sort of interact more with the material,
Yeah.
regardless of maybe artificial intelligence and all that, but setting up check systems of checks and balances that can even leverage those technologies for good use. You get what I mean? Patrick, you've been quiet. I know you always half sleepy, half asleep or something. What's up? Are you awake?
I am awake exactly. I don't know why that's even a question, but the truth is that I was gonna say on your. I remember you said if you were to ask young people to list say 3 values, respect wouldn't make it.
No, I was talking about hard work. though,
Hard
but
work, I mean,
then,
yeah, hard work wouldn't make it like the top 3. I mean, I feel like it depends, right? It's different times, as AY mentioned, and as you mentioned, evolution, right? So different, like hard work is different for different times. Like
Okay.
AY mentioned, like say someone working on a computer or working from home,
Yeah.
is might not be considered
looks-
hard
yeah, it
working.
looks some
It
very
looks
soft.
as though it's not hard working, but it actually is. It just depends on the context and how you look at it. So it's just like different things in different generations mean different things. Hard work.
It's interesting too, because I had to just look up hard work. We say hard work,
Yeah.
but as far as what it means, so hard work is a great deal of effort or endurance, right? Now think about the conversation we had around mental health and how it's such a big deal now. Think about how probably I'm thinking now how there is that connection as far as that lack of great efforts at something, a great deal of effort or endurance, which could sometimes, like you are making the case then how people would hide under that umbrella to sort of mask their bad behaviors
Yeah.
and something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking again, there's something to be said about that endurance, that great deal of effort at something. I mean, you all would understand or would agree that in these times now more than ever, people are more willing to give up on something if it doesn't work at the first try. Right, but in the past, and which is the essence of hard work, is having that endurance, having that grit, having that ability to put in a great deal of effort towards something. But I think too that could be even in the in this, I guess, excuse me, artificial intelligence, economy and information economy and all that. That could be the thing that separates the folks who are bang average and the folks who sort of rise to the top of their field.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm reading this book by Carl Newport,
Okay.
Deep Work. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
heard of it. And
I
he
know
was talking
Patrick
about
has
how
had it.
in the this is a knowledge economy where everybody is doing. I mean, a lot of more people are doing knowledge work as opposed to physical exertion.
Yeah, exertion, yeah.
And it also talks a lot about distraction and how we can avoid distraction in putting in, because in this economy, the knowledge economy, thrives on attention too.
Right.
And those who are willing to put in the work and attention are the ones that will get by in this
Right.
economy. So there is I don't think technology has come to reduce the amount of effort we're going to put in. I think it is even requiring more discipline, because, for example, say in the years when there was no internet or even social media, you had just maybe your books to read, and you really had no choice of what else to do.
Right.
But in these days, you have on your phone, you have so many social media platforms, there's so many things that could distract. So for you to even get to learn anything in this generation, it means you need even more discipline than someone even in an older generation needed during their time. So I think that it looks like technology is making life easier for us, and I mean, in so many ways it is. But I also think that it's bringing more responsibility. It's requiring more discipline than ever.
So
to
it's
get
I,
to
I
sit
agree.
and learn
I agree
something.
with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you. And it goes to, I think it was, I've forgotten his name, but this French political theorist that talks about dromology. I think it's the concept, the idea of how the once you create something, you also create something else just by. So the idea is that this the creation of the railway system also creates derailing derailment. So derailment is essentially when a train runs off its track, in an accident. So the creation of cars is also the creation of car accidents. So that's like the unintended consequences.
Yes.
So I guess what we are talking about right here now is about the unintended consequences of technology.
yes.
So on the one hand, there is technology, and then on the other hand, there is
distraction.
all these other things that come
Yeah.
with it. And then there's also the fact that, I mean, most people are consumers. You see the thing. So that consumption is also, I guess what I'm speaking to as far as, the I mean, think about it right now. You can order food and it gets delivered to you. Like,
Yeah.
you see what I mean? So you can literally stay indoors all day, all week if you want.
Yeah, and do your stuff.
Right? And probably still, I mean, I think there's research that we are more sedentary now than ever in
Yes,
history.
yes.
So there is all these things going on, and I mean, I guess it's a call, it's a wake-up call to, I guess rise up to the challenge, I guess be more self-aware, or whatever.
And I also think we shouldn't forget the spiritual and cultural lessons too that have been passed down from from older generation, And many of us actually learned,
Yeah.
say, respect,
Right,
hospitality, or
right.
even endurance from elders.
Right.
And those values, I think, are actually more important even now than ever.
So let me
before.
ask you all, do you all think the values of respect are going down with the younger generation, or the other way around?
I would say that respect is different for different generations. For example, I'm African, and so
African and Gen Z, yeah?
yeah,
Yeah, I
so,
mean-
yeah, and then so the term respect is used like differently. I've come to see that the term respect actually means different things in different places.
Okay.
So, for example, in
Yeah, I
in
see what
South
you mean.
Africa, in South Africa, generally you cannot call an older person by their first name.
Yeah, that's what
like
the
you can
first thing
never
that
do
came to my
that.
mind.
Yeah, you can never do
Yeah,
that.
I've had folks here like, hey, please call me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Please
Yeah,
call me by
say-
my. And I'm
yeah,
like, bro.
exactly. Like when someone is older, like they have to, and they have to tell you. Like you'll never hear somebody saying, "Call me by my name." Like it's not. Like you
I
could
see what
never
you
hear
mean.
that back
I
home.
totally see what you
Mhm.
mean.
And then over here it's different. Like people are like, "Hey, call me by my name," because maybe I don't want to feel.
No, I
old
mean,
or
I think it's
something. Like-
cultural too. Like
yeah,
you
that's
said.
what I'm saying. Respect means different. And for example, like older folks, I know, for example, my grandfather, he'll be like, "Hey, if like the fact that he's older, he's like respect is like is earned. It's not earned. It's just because of age, because of his experience. Like you have to respect him
But I
automatically."
think that's also for good reasons too.
I mean, it's-
because there are a lot of other things going on.
Mhm.
So when you respect someone, you don't. I guess it comes with trying to find the right word. There are a lot of other things you won't do when you
Yes.
respect someone.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I think
That's true.
well, maybe on this note, I would not really tilt to the side of the younger generation, because I actually think that the value of respect is not as held on to in this
As it
generation
used
as
to.
it used
Why
to
do you
be.
think so?
I wouldn't be able to maybe tell why, but I can tell that I've observed that the older generation actually pay more attention to respect, and I think that respect is not something that should be not
Earned?
necessarily earned in that sense, because a lot of people have this belief that, oh, if this person is not acting in a way, that why should I respect him? I also think that the respect is more about who is giving it than who is receiving. So if you're a
Okay.
respectful person, you would give that respect to people. Accord people respect in different places. For example, I don't know if this example works, but I'm going to give this example regardless. So you're on the road and you're driving your car and you're blasting, this music so loud. I think that is not respecting other people.
It's disrespectful.
Do you understand? Like,
Yeah, I see
you
what
are
you mean.
already infringing on other people's rights in a way. Like, why is your music so loud? It's supposed to be for you. Why am I listening to your music? And you don't even need to know me to be able to give me that respect that I'm in a public space and I need to respect people's privacy or people's space in that sense, right? I'm not the only one here, so I need to respect other people, and my music should not be that loud.
I
And that's
feel
just an
like
example.
it's- yeah,
You
I-
will
I
hardly
agree.
see an older
I
person
agree.
doing something like that.
I agree.
You get so respecting people is more about you. I'm respectful. I'm in a public place, or I'm with somebody else. I need to respect this person. I don't need to know them. I don't need to know what they've achieved. To be
Now
able
it
to
goes back
accord them that
to, so
respect.
think about again what I said earlier about how if you asked kids of this generation to list their top 3 values, respect might not be in it. Because hearing you say this, I'm also thinking about, how maybe culturally, and especially again with the proliferation of technology and social media and all that, people see themselves differently. People see themselves as, the end be all end all. Like people see themselves as like this mighty king seated on 7 thrones and all that. You get what I mean? Because that's really what it is. That's disregard for the next person, that's lack of awareness of how what you're doing affects the next person. That's again lack of self-awareness. You see these things play out in a lot of different ways, and I think there is something to be said about the culture that reinforces that too, because we are all, think about it, no matter, you can't really outrun the culture, your culture, and all that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on going back on something that Victor said, respect. I think young people do have the notion of respect too. And for young people, I know you'll resonate with this. Say you're playing any sports. I'll
Right.
give basketball for example.
Okay.
And when you're playing against somebody that you see that hey, this person is not skilled, you don't have respect for them in a way that you try the most outrageous things you wouldn't try on a player. That hey, this person will
Okay.
get the ball from me.
Right.
So that's an essence of respect, right?
Okay.
It's because you don't respect them enough to say that hey, they can stop this move. That's why I'm going to do it. Like that is in any sports. Think about any sports. If you don't respect the person defending you enough, you're going to try something crazy.
Okay.
And that's essentially
Yeah,
what it
that's
is.
I see what you mean. I'm
Yeah.
talking about sport. I remember the last soccer Chamora games we had. Yeah, and how disrespectful the other kids were. Too.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you see what I mean?
Yeah,
And
so-
I didn't even see any basis, for that.
But sorry to cut you there.
No,
That
go ahead.
brings back to who is giving the respect. For
Okay.
example, our first game, we won those guys, I think 9-1.
Yeah,
or something.
9-1, yeah.
And the
But I
crazy
don't
thing
think
is
there
we
was
could have
anybody on
thrown
our
the game.
team doing those
Yeah.
stuff that
We
those
could have
guys were
thrown the game,
doing.
but it gave us
So
a
it
chance
was
to play.
more about,
Yeah.
they just won us maybe 4 or something. But we won 9 goals. That's enough reason to want to disrespect someone.
Yeah,
But it was more about
AY
us.
gets very emotional
Do
talking
you understand?
about
We are,
football or soccer.
we are not disrespectful people, and we're not going to disrespect our
Yeah.
opponents, even though we're leading them 9 goals to 1, right? So it's more about who is giving the respect and not who is receiving. So if
I
you're
see
a
what you mean.
respectful person, you respect someone regardless of who they are or even their abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all too for staying with us. We'll get back to the last stretch of the conversations after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, my name is Tracy. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
I'm Miriam Neff with New Beginnings. The red-winged blackbird is an oxymoron, a bird of opposite. It looks black sitting on a branch, but flight reveals brilliant reds and yellow under its wings. Its one-note warble becomes 3-part harmony, all from one tiny throat. This unique bird reminds me of us humans going through hard times. We look bleak and sound monotonous, and then we take flight. We step out in our hard times in faith, more than meets the eye. The reason? Romans 8:28 is real. God is able to bring good things from hard times. The future is different, but rich in new wisdom, new comfort, and stronger faith. The next time you see a red-winged blackbird, think Romans 8:28, for we know that in all things God works for the good.
This feature at widowconnection.com.
Yes, welcome back to Awesome Radio. We are still here on Pitt Perspectives, and thank you all too for listening to these three incredible. Do I say
Yeah,
incredible?
incredible, incredible,
Amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, guys, and it's been an amazing conversation. I mean, a lot of learning, a lot of insights too. You know, about bridging the gap, bridging the generational gap. So I guess I'd like to ask you guys, what's in, specifically, what do you wish older generations or younger generations realized, on you?
So for me, I'll start with the younger generation. I think we need to learn from the older generations because they have the experience and you
Okay.
cannot buy experience.
Right.
And there's something that, I mean, I don't want to go into adages, but it's something in my language that talks about how an old person has also been young at some point. So
Right.
they've gone, of course, not the exact same way,
Right.
but they've been young and they
Right.
know what the innate desires of a young person is.
Right.
They know what it feels like to be young.
Right.
So we can learn a lot of things from their experience. And, for example, we've talked about culture, we've talked about lessons they passed down, we've talked about respect and all these things. We can learn all those things that they have, the values that they have. We can try to imbibe those values. And on the other hand, too, the world is moving and things are changing.
Right.
The older generation can learn innovation, forward thinking, and all these things that the younger generation they have.
Right.
That strength, that favor that they bring to the table, they can always leverage it. They can always learn from it. And if you notice, older people who work with those kind of young people, even in the different spaces, you will notice that they are different, and they leverage all those advantages that the young people bring, add it to their own experience and what they have, and what you're going to have is something really great. So nobody's an island of knowledge. You have to be able to respect even the young and the old.
Right.
Bring what they have, and then you can make something great out of it.
Right. So Patrick, how about yourself?
I would say that
Gen Z.
Yes, I agree with what AY says. I think both generations can learn from each other.
Okay.
I mean, there's a few things each generation can pick from the other. Maybe
Right.
say the younger generation can learn to, take respect more serious, like the older generations do, and then the older generations can also learn to be versatile, because young people are very versatile.
Yeah, I mean, I also
and
understand
expressive.
that like we're all creatures of habits,
Yes.
and like once habits are formed, it's difficult to break it, and I can see how like older folks, and then think about it, doing something new, change is painful, change is hard,
Yeah.
so I
But
can
change
see
is also
how.
inevitable.
Well, I see that too, but I can also see, and which is interesting too, because I guess life is mostly, or culture is mostly, that constant battle, that constant push and pull between
It's
the
about
old
evolution.
and the
Everything
new,
keeps growing,
and all
yeah.
that. Yes, it's been a great, 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 amazing conversation, and up to our upcoming events, because we are in the last stretch of the
Yeah.
show today.
So
Hey.
yes, these are some events for this week. Greenville United FC is back in action today against Johnston
Yeah.
County FC, and kickoff is at 5:30 p.m. at JP2 Catholic High School. Tonight is also ECU night. Students and staff, do not miss it. So
Yes.
ECU, come on.
Let's go. Let's bring
Pirates.
some
Let's go
some
Pirates.
some purple and gold to the
Yes,
green
yeah,
and
ECU
gold.
night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Essentially, what it means when we say it's ECU night, it means y'all don't got to pay for anything.
Yeah,
it's free
that's true.
entry. I
Yeah.
think I keep missing to mention that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
free entry for
also-
students
true.
and teachers.
Wow,
and
that's
everybody.
amazing.
Yeah, so Wildwood Park is hosting the BBQ Brews and Beach Beats Festival today, following a 10:30 a.m. ribbon cutting for the new recreation space.
Yeah, and then we have Bethel Community Day is happening today at Bethel Elementary School from 12 to 3 p.m. Free, family friendly fun.
Yes, so the Gathering Voices project kicks off its listening tour on Monday, May 6th. The first listening tour will be at First Christian Church in Greenville. So we all encourage you all to go out and support these great, great, great efforts. Yeah, so guys, it's been amazing having
Yeah, it's
such
been
a
amazing.
great, insightful, and emotional conversations. Yeah, with you all, man, and it's been amazing. So, Patrick, what do you have for us today?
Well,
Yeah.
I would say maybe we can end it off with a little bit of a weekly inspiration.
Yeah.
And I think what comes to mind is that that wisdom isn't just about age, right? It's about openness. When generations listen to each other, we don't just pass the torch.
Right.
We light new ones. We're not just passing on the torch, but light new ones. In your family, your workplace, your community, your space. Make space for somebody older and younger this week. Make a difference.
Oh wow, look at
Listen to-
Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, when
Pastor Patrick.
Deputy Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick is the one Gen Z in the what generation are we even?
I think we're millennials.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Just
Oh.
before Gen Z.
Yes, it's
Ah,
just before.
Just before, like,
I mean, I'm not that
like
old.
2 minutes before
anyway.
Gen Z.
So which one is Gen Alpha though?
Gen Alpha is
It's
the one
the ones-
after,
yes,
after
after
Gen
us.
Z. So
Oh,
the
really?
younger
Yes,
folks are Gen
20. I think it says
And
Gen Alpha is
2025
2016 to
So 25, I think
current.
2012 or 2013 to
Yeah,
2025,
2013,
24.
yeah.
So
Bro,
this
time
year,
flies.
new generation started. That's Gen Beta.
Oh really?
Yeah. So
wow.
children born in 2025 are in a new generation.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're old.
Well, wow. I don't know how I feel about that. That is interesting. Hey, that's it for Pitt Perspectives this
On
Saturday
Awesome
morning on
Radio.
Awesome Radio
Yeah.
Network. Yeah. Thank you all for everyone who listened. I mean, it's amazing talking to folks in the community and hearing them, tell us about, the aspects of the show they like, and, talking about how happy Patrick gets whenever someone is coming for me. Yeah. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with more community stories, culture, and conversation. And until then, stay connected, stay inspired, stay awesome.
Be safe out there. We'll see
Yeah.
you next week.
Bye.